Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order for the Waterways Commission, Thursday, April 12th. I'd like to ask for an acceptance of the agenda for tonight.
So moved.
Second.
So moved. We've got 2 sets of minutes. Has everybody had a chance to read all the minutes?
I did.
So we can go with both of them?
I think so.
Why don't we take the, well, any questions on any of them? Or do we just go
Right
ahead?
at the end, it's not.
I'm good on the 7th.
Yeah.
Pretty short and sweet.
Okay.
Yeah, 7th is good.
How about the special meeting on the 27th?
Yep. I'm good on that. Fine, me.
Is there a motion?
Move that we accept the minutes from 3/7 and 3/27.
Second. Any discussion on it? Second? Okay.
Good vote.
Any vote?
Go ahead, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we get that all right for Leanne anyway. While we're on this, Leanne mentioned the 4th of July is going to be on a Wednesday this year. So do you want to, so far, August to July, or do you want to reschedule for a different day?
So traditionally, we always took August because
Except for last
some yeah, right, because the former chairs before Brian, I believe, vacationed in August, right? So
Is that Howie?
I think it was after Howard. It was after Howard.
I mean, my opinion is, just this is my thought,
Yeah.
we're Waterways, it's as busy as possible during that time, things may come up, it's just a meeting. I wouldn't skip a meeting, would be my thought.
Are you thinking replacing the July with the August?
I was thinking skip July.
Or have the possibility of one in August?
Yeah.
August is.
I don't know what we got going on.
Yeah.
You know, if it's true.
Yeah. No, but a lot going on, skip
What's
it.
that?
Anyway.
Look, if there's nothing going on, you could
Right.
go to September.
Right.
But I would think there's stuff that's not, I mean, this is just a report,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
I'll call you.
Any other one? Nothing going on. So we can have that meeting, if you'd like to flip around to August 1st, which is
And not schedule July.
not scheduled as well.
I wouldn't vote for that.
You wouldn't vote for that?
No, I'd like to have a meeting every month, I mean, it's.
Well, we always skip 1 month.
Yeah.
There's always 1 month that we skip.
Why don't we make a
We
motion
don't
that
have
We
we
don't
don't
have
every
to,
week?
that's been the tradition.
Could we?
Yeah.
Well,
Brian, we'll have it at each other's house once.
Yeah,
End of June.
one in every restaurant.
Yeah, we can schedule it. Yeah, and you could do it the second week of July.
Yeah.
So what's your pleasure?
So motion to have it at 7/11? I don't mean have it at 7/11 on July 11th, a week later.
Yeah, second.
Have it on the second week of July and skip the August meeting as usual.
Second.
And do the pending for the August.
Yes.
All in favor? Okay, so we're going to do then, we're going to have a meeting on the 11th of July,
Yeah.
and we'll skip the August meeting as usual. August.
We'll plan to, but if something's going on and, you know, and July, early August, we can.
Okay,
We can always have a meeting just like we did last week.
now what do we do?
No, I know, we can always have it.
2 weeks ago.
Just seems like last week.
We skipped by open remarks, Stephen, everything?
What?
How the message report?
You're up.
Our message report, the docks, Maritime Center docks are more in place. We moved fingers around. We have a little bit of work to do on a couple of the main water lines to get that in order. We're still cleaning some things up from the different storms. Cole Parkway went in, the fingers went in this week. Short, like a half of the day with crane and just my staff. Putting the fingers out in place, get the contractors in line to come down and pull the wires back in where they belong, and the electrician coming over to power things or clean things up as best we can and power back up. There was some damage to the pump-out station plumbing under the dock. It was damaged, so that has to be replaced. And some of the plumbing lines, permanent plumbing lines were damaged as well.
How the pedestals do with the
Fine.
explosion? No problem.
It was very cold for a month, so that's understandable.
Yeah, the pedestal survived.
And Steve, the de-icers are all out now,
Yeah, the de-icers,
obviously.
Yeah, we put them away there.
Do we have any
They're stored.
crib death, any infant mortality on any of those?
No, they were, in the final storm, in March, or the second, big storm, the Coast Guard's shed, actually broke free from its base, from the ground, where it's, in the ground.
Behind your building?
And it crushed our shed where we had the ice stored, and the ice was kind of went for a ride. I had flood insurance people down there and showed it to them, we're working on that.
Okay.
Coast Guard. Coast Guard.
Yeah.
No, they don't have any insurance. Other than that, I think we're gonna talk about Cole Parkway Marine Project further in, and we're gonna talk about South River Bridge further in.
The south side of the town pier, the dinghy dock, was that repaired?
No, that probably, I'm probably not going to put those floats back in until the Cole Parkway Marina project is done. I'm going to talk to the town manager or town administrator about that, because it's going to cost us about $40,000 to mobilize and demobilize for 3 pilings. And we're going to be doing it in the
Is that on the town's expense though, or isn't that something?
no, it's on the town's side. It's not covered by insurance.
Yeah, but I thought it was a bullet that hit the,
That doesn't mean,
We can't, we can't prove that.
I see, okay.
Is it just the south side? of the
It's just the south side. The north side, we floated the floats back over in place, and we're gonna be getting the ramp back up in place. So any of the people that tie up their boats on either side, you just tie up on the other side.
what about the people who pay for doing spots and
They
stuff?
can tie up on the other side.
There's no water on the side of the float, on the other side.
You're gonna have to tie up on the other side.
Yeah, 40 grand seems a little steep.
You wanna spend $45,000 to bring a crane down and pile up, drive 3 miles in?
I think this is the second time we had a problem with that same boat over it, isn't it?
He paid for it the first time. We can't prove that he did it the second time.
Yeah.
So if you can't prove who did it, because there were other issues.
I'm gonna ask a stupid question.
Yeah. I think the camera's made, you're near your office,
The
right?
cameras?
I am not privy to the cameras.
Yeah, but the police are. So.
And there are other boats that have issues down there. Okay.
They were kind of exceptional storms, too, don't they?
I would say yes, Fran, they were exceptional.
Those are wood piles, right?
Wood piles.
Yeah, so if
I'm gonna be
you're
going-
going with steel.
I'm gonna be going to steel, and it would take us time to get the steel anyways.
Yeah,
So my thought is to just have them tie up on the other side.
the ice grab, the wood piles is terrible. I have all steel piles and it just,
Well, they're pressure treated, they don't hold up. And,
Yeah.
We're going to steel everywhere else, doesn't make any sense to.
Right.
And when we do that, we can replace the other piles as well with steel.
So you just get this contractor for a day or something, do half a day, get over there.
Do it once
Yeah.
and be done with it.
While they're mobilized,
It's just too, unless Waterways wants to, insist that I do it that way.
Yeah.
That's how
My only suggestion would be for you have you guys police that north dinghy dock, because sometimes boats do tie up against it or tie up close to it. It prevents dinghies getting tied on the west side, on the east side.
Lobster, full-size lobster boats.
Yeah, so it'd just be, because that was, I think, one of our transient dinghy docks or suggested places where transients tie up, so. And just to keep it open, if there's only gonna be one.
Good, that's what I plan on.
you know roughly how many there's paid for the salt dock?
About 3.
Oh, about 3, okay. Okay, so we're not talking about.
So we could spend $45,000 for 2 people, and we could just have them tie up on the other side.
I didn't realize it was 2 or 3 hours, you know,
right, yeah, because they can also come from
Yeah,
Russo.
I have to, every
yeah. Thank you, right, yeah.
Is it only available to commercial fishermen, or is it available to anybody?
that's for commercial.
Yeah, the one on the north side available to anybody?
It's, commercial and some transient.
And there were some seasonal people on there too. I think it's 2 or 3.
Not that I'm aware of, but then maybe.
A friend that's a,
You're saying transient, somebody pays for the morning and they can go stay out there.
that's all.
Nobody pays for mornings in Scituate. Mornings are free.
Right.
They pay for lunch, so.
And then, so you rent a lawn service for the night and you can use that as a place to party.
But if you're paying for a lunch service,
You-
you
yeah.
need to.
Well, you got a ding in.
Well, the lawn service doesn't run until 8, so.
Right, if they want to visit one of our local establishments
Yeah.
and do the drunken row, that's what happens.
Rose.
So that's, we do plan on, having, keeping the obstacles fixed that, because we did have one down there last year, and we're going to keep moving along. All right? I just didn't see, financially, just to me, it did not make sense. If we're having all this work done, rate and
I'll figure it out.
figure it out.
Anything else?
I was just gonna say, I know you, at one point you mentioned having to replace the electrical over here for some of the feeds.
Yeah, I'm gonna have the electrician come in
Yeah.
and take a look at it. We're also put in storm damage for that as well.
Yeah.
Maybe find out.
Yeah.
That was my question, the status, we had a couple electrical projects that were, are they done?
No, one of them was part of the Cole Parkway Municipal Marina project,
Right.
and another one is another seaport economic project that I'm gonna go after.
Oh, so, but didn't we approve like 50,000 or something?
Yeah, well, we can do it once.
But that was over there.
See, we have to match the money, so we can spend the money, and then I
I
come
thought it
back.
was an emergency, I thought we had to, we approved that as like needed to get done.
It did need to get done, and we got a lot of it done. We got the GFCI done on the
Through
other side.
operating cost. Yeah.
And we took some of that money,
Yeah.
a small percentage, for the shunt trip breaker system to satisfy the electrical inspector.
Right, we can shut everything off.
Yes.
And how about over here with the, did you figure out all the icer electrical situation
You
here?
know, we haven't really turned everything back on yet, so that's something we're working on as well.
And then 2 questions about, all the bills are out, right?
All the bills are up, all the bills have been up for over 45 days.
And you're starting,
They hit the people out 2 days.
Right.
2 more days, 2 more days.
2 more days,
Yeah.
and then it's $100.
Right.
They have Friday, and they have Monday.
All that.
All working all day Monday.
You're open with it?
No, I mean, but,
We are open on Monday.
One thing I will say is that the reminders and everything, the constant contact, I mean, if that's not
They
fair.
they have no reason not to be paying.
Yeah.
well, are we touching base with them, constant contact? Is that-
Yeah, you get a reminder that, hey, the bill.
22 days, 15 days,
Yeah,
10
there's a
days.
countdown.
That's
So
awesome.
it's just, I mean, it is, and you can do it all.
And with what you need, and don't show up with half packets, don't show up with just payment, because we're not.
Right, you can do it, you can do it over, you can scan it and send it in too, which is.
You can email it as a complete packet, and then when we receive the email as a complete packet, we'll accept the payment.
Yeah, I do.
But we're not accepting partial documents, and we're just returning checks.
Yeah,
And that was very clear in the letters.
from, my perspective, the system worked, the reminders, it was.
Everybody's been doing a great job with it.
Yeah, it was good to have the reminders, just kind of saying 8 days left until payments due. Yeah.
Scrape you up the money.
And, and any new moorings being assigned yet, or we're waiting for that?
Yeah, we're always turning in, so we'll be assigning as soon
Yeah.
as.
So do we have any feel for how many going into the season are empty or are not?
I don't have any feel for it yet, because we have not taken back. If you don't pay within, if you don't pay by Monday at 4 o'clock,
Right,
then you have 30 days to pay $100 late fee.
right.
After that, the mooring is now ours, and we'll reassign.
I meant at the end of last season in November.
We were pretty close to
Every
exhaust.
mooring
Pretty
assigned.
close. We got some turned in at the end of the year,
Okay.
so.
And so before that, yeah, everything was assigned supposedly.
Everything, we were working through that list, I think Mike signed 70 or 70 plus moorings last year, so.
Yeah, that's
I think that was the last figure he
50
gave me.
last, right, 50 something, so that's.
I believe that was the last figure he gave me.
Right. That's great,
He did do a lot.
yeah.
Did a good job too.
Mm.
So for any of this report from Nancy, it looks like today, so I don't know if anyone's had a chance to look at it, but if I'm reading this correctly, it said 41% of mooring fees are in.
Are we gonna
Oh, I'm
talk
sorry.
about that?
Let's jump, yeah, let's wait till the.
Okay, we were asking about mooring fees, I'm sorry.
I was just commenting on.
Total mooring.
Got it.
That's what I
Okay.
was focused on.
Okay.
That's great. And Steve, good job at the town meeting. I know Keith and Brian spoke on
They did.
your behalf. And,
They were great.
there was some legitimate, concern, but minor, and it got squashed pretty quickly, I think.
That's it.
Okay, yeah. Any
You
other questions?
said something about the total number of moorings. Why would you say?
I'm just curious, if we're doing a financial thing, we want to get a sense of, what the revenue's made up of. And so we certainly see the totals, but I'd like to get a sense of the exact number of mooring bills that went out, over the course of a year.
Right, but if the mooring fees are based on the boat length, you wouldn't be able to interpret
But
the
you,
revenue number by the, it's a matrix, but.
it's how many mooring, it's how many.
More information is better than less.
Yeah, you can figure it out.
We could probably get the boat lengths too, if we had.
Right,
So if we can get it to you, now is not the time. This month, the next month is not the time to.
So Steve, what do we have, 1,000 moorings between
No,
the river and the harbor?
this month's, I think, 600, maybe under 600 is what we came up with for a count.
In the harbor and the rivers?
In harbors and rivers for
Okay.
physical count after we ban it.
Okay.
Now, that could change because now your mooring has to be up from May 15th until October 15th. You
Right.
can no longer drop your moorings down. So anybody who hasn't dropped down, if they're down longer than, I think it's 10 days, it's considered abandoned. And I will reassign it to somebody else. So if somebody's just doesn't want to pull their gear up because, they don't want to pull their gear up, they're gonna.
I think they're hiding, you have to have the boat on, supposed to have the boat on.
Well, they're supposed to.
But if it's underwater, you can't see.
Yeah.
The mooring's supposed to be up. And it makes it very difficult to backfill in around. And if the mooring went from a 50-foot mooring to a 40, to a 30, to a 20, and there's space all around it now, we're trying to backfill in around where if you want an increase or you want an increase, you come to the office. If the mooring is not up anymore, and we're just gonna end up backing over it, so. That's why I asked to have that put in there, that the mooring has to be up for the whole season.
Well, they should be up for all these things, really.
Right.
It should be, but
Practically.
It should either have a winter stick on it or.
It should have a winter, it's not gonna make the thing. You can't-
No, but I mean, it should have one of two things. It should always have a winter stick on it or a ball on it, so it shouldn't
yeah,
be.
some of the winter sticks, they'll have one stick and they'll have multiple lines going out to.
One stick over 3 or 4 moorings.
Yeah.
Geez, I should try that.
Is that dangerous for people that cruise
Like a
around?
trawl, it's the same as a.
We do the same thing.
I mean, as long as there's enough leeway.
Oh, no, all the lines are on the block. They go from
Yeah.
block to block, the chain goes
Oh,
on the
okay.
block.
They just hook it up to a winch.
Oh, I got it.
Winch and then do it all in one fell swoop, like sort of a pop
It doesn't
up.
look like a Christmas tree with the winter stick at the top.
So,
Mooring.
Any other questions?
Anybody?
Nope.
Okay, on old business, do you want to go to the financial report first?
Nope.
Okay. The Shelford presentation. We seem to have a lot of interest in kind of making a presentation or at least saying something to the selectmen. Anybody want to talk about that at all tonight? Or I know, Steve, you got a program you're going to get going sometime? Is it-
Well, what I'd like to do before we just start assigning commercial areas, I think it should be planned out and a plan in place so that if we give out a plot to a commercial grower, that they're actually growing shellfish. They're not taking up a plot so that another grower, kind of edge out the competition.
Yeah.
Or just take every plot that's in Scituate, I don't want to grow up there, but nobody can, nobody else can either.
What would it take to plan that out? I think you asked for some money for a
Yeah,
consultant or something.
right.
Well,
Yeah, so-
I'm sorry, you were looking for money to study the harbor, right?
No.
No?
We were looking, I was looking, in my capital plan, it was to hire a consultant that did it in Falmouth. And what they did was they looked at the different areas, and then they would, what Falmouth ended up doing was Falmouth licensed the areas themselves. So they had complete control over the areas. They would allow a grower to come in, like town of Scituate has this square area, and you come in and you want, to grow. So we say, okay, you can grow. We'll allow you to grow in our area. You grow for 2 years here, and then you move and you grow for 2 years here, and then this becomes a family area. So that any of the stat or any, stuff that drops through the cages, kind of re-nourishes that area.
And that, in family, you mean recreational?
Recreation, yeah.
And as Steve knows, and particularly in Falmouth and Mashpee, they're very vigilant about people actually tending the beds as a requirement that they have to go there every day. This has to be there.
They have to work, if they want a shellfish farm, they gotta work the farm. They can't just go there and say, yeah, I got the shellfish farm and I got some cages here, I don't care whether, I can put anything in, and try to take up the spot, because there's a lot of different reasons to have shellfish in the harbor. I think it's a great idea, but you gotta you can't just jump into it. You have to kind of think it through, see where the other towns fell down, and try to make the correction so you don't have the same problem. Shellfish clean up the waterways. They eliminate fish kill, algae blooms. That's what they live on, is nitrogen.
What Duxbury did was they gave them out a long time ago, and now these people have these King's grants for other people had forever, and other people can't get in, and then the other people are like, no, I don't, I have this grant, I don't have to do anything.
Or they don't work the grant, so there's no real economic benefit for the town. It's not cleaning up the waterways. All it's doing is eliminating competition.
But okay, so two things. First of all, if you go down to Duxbury, there's a vibrant fishing community down there working. I mean, it has to be, there may be a dozen, different shacks out there, and those guys are all working. There might be some who aren't, but I mean, that's, if Scituate could do half that would be great.
No, it's not the issue of that they're not working, it's just that what Steve's proposing is a much more fairer system. What happens there is you have, it creates an oligarchy where you have a certain amount of small people who got there first, and they now have the right for that basically in perpetuity forever.
This way you can give it, you as part of it, say it's a 5-year renewable lease or a 2-year renewable lease. And we don't necessarily even have to own it like Falmouth does. We don't have to own the permits, but you could still have it as part of a plan where the town, DMF has to approve it, but then the town also has to approve it. And the town can say, okay, we'll approve for 2 years. You're doing a good job, and your stuff's not all over the place, and we're not finding bags up on the beach, and you're not, causing a nuisance. Great, we'd love to have it, but.
If we didn't own it, who would own the lease? You're saying,
The ones down in Duxbury, and the ones in Mashpee, and the ones in Falmouth,
yeah,
they're owned by
The
farm operator.
directly from the state?
From
From the state,
yeah.
from the state, okay.
So, 2 meetings ago, we had the guy from Scituate.
Oh, you weren't?
Compelled.
He was phenomenal.
Yeah,
I talked to him a few times.
so, that
He's from
is,
Harwich.
Right.
he lives in Scituate.
Dennis.
He's Dennis, right?
So,
Dennis, he was dead.
so the area he was looking at is in Scituate Waters up in
In Cohasset.
North Scituate.
Yeah.
It's really not, it's not in Cohasset.
Well, it's in
North
Cohasset
Scituate.
Harbor,
Yeah, it's in North Scituate.
Dawson's Beach. Yeah.
So, and it's approved by the state.
He said.
No, it's approved and open.
It's an open area is what they mean by approved. It's an approved area.
Sorry.
Scituate Harbor proper is prohibited. And that's because the sanitary survey has not been done for years, and that's something that's in the process.
And the rivers are seasonal
The rivers are conditionally approved.
on a seasonal basis, close to
Conditionally, yeah.
So this area is open year-round, and it's kind of, you know, could we put together regulations for commercial, you know, leases up there, so.
Okay. But again, there's a lot to it. It's not like you just sit down and, you really need to know the ins and outs. And that's why I was looking to have a consultant that's what they do.
And it sounds like this guy wants to go there, but
It's like planning a town, like having, you have an industrial park, you have commercial zoning for, this, and you have residential zoning. That's what you're doing.
Instead of spending 40 grand on a consultant, couldn't we model it after another town that's doing it in the same manner? Like what I found out since he gave us his presentation, there are two different ways of doing oysters. There's one on the bottom and his is suspended above the bottom.
There's a lot of different ways of doing this, not just two.
Dutchbury's all on the bottom, Dutchbury's not suspended.
Right, this guy was saying it's a lot less fat.
He doesn't lose that much, into the surrounding area.
Yeah, we want him to lose.
He may not want to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you want it to grow. You want,
Yeah,
by having the commercial grower here,
yeah.
he's growing, he's getting the shellfish growing wild again in the area.
Okay.
So there's a benefit to it.
You could write the regulation that way, you have to farm them this way.
No, you just,
I mean,
My
he wouldn't,
concern,
he had
Fred,
no this particular.
you have this guy who came to us first, he wants this. What's to say that there's not 6 other competent people? How do you have a competition for that?
Well, there's a lot of land up there, a lot of
Oh, yeah,
space, so you can have, you
But
don't give it all to
somebody
one
should
guy.
create the rules.
You don't give it all to one guy.
and then the problem you run into is then you give it out and you just let them have it. You never get it back.
Well, it could be 2 years or
You
whatever.
put together something, I mean, you have to have regulations.
I know, I understand. That's what,
I guess, Mike, if we can, how are we moving towards this
Right now,
what's the time frame?
we have the Marshfield Harbor Masters, the
Constable.
shellfish constable. I'd like to be the shellfish constable. I'd like to, I grew shellfish in Mashpee with the shellfish constable down there, who's actually a marine biologist. Because I'd like to, not on the scale that he's, the commercial guy's gonna do it, I'd like to go on a very small scale and try to get high school kids interested in it, so where they come down and work it as part of the project. And maybe one kid, out of, 20 classes will go into the business. So that's what I was looking to do, but I think we need, we need to put together a plan.
Yeah.
And we can't go into it, if we're gonna do it, we gotta,
Think it through.
think it through.
Well, wouldn't Mike DeMayo, wouldn't he be the guy to kind of talk to about, because he's the shellfish constable now?
I'm a shellfish constable. I went to the class,
You are, well, he's.
He has
well, he was against it. He was
He was
against
against it.
commercial growing.
Why?
In Marshfield or in
Because he
Scituate?
said they had when I was with Tricia, he just said there was no benefit to
Because it's a long way from Marshfield to.
Right.
To work it.
Right,
Yeah. The
Further up.
oversight would take time.
okay.
I'm not sure what but the regulations actually say there's no commercial shellfishing allowed in Scituate.
His interest was in putting seed stuff in it.
So I guess it's my feeling that there should be some sense of urgency in coming up with comprehensive regulations to allow commercial shellfish fishing.
I'm not against it.
I'm mainly saying in the Cohasset, in the area that's already approved by the state. So I think, can we get a motion to do that? To send a letter to the selectmen and to the shellfish constable saying we
To
support that?
pursue information, to figure out how
I think you
to.
should start by sending it to the selectmen and see what they say.
Why don't we put a letter together then, to the selectmen? We can make a motion to vote on it, put a letter together to the selectmen, encouraging that,
Say that we had the presentation, we're learning a little bit
But
about,
if they back Stephen as far as, putting together a shellfish program in kind of an expeditious way so that it's not gonna be 5 years from now, maybe it'll be 2 years from now.
it'll be
It
surveyed.
could, it might not be, but I don't want it where the town needs, it doesn't necessarily have to be a financial benefit where they're getting $1,000 an acre per month or
They
something.
told me they can't get it.
It could be where they're getting, the benefit is the spat. The cleaning of the waterways,
But,
And also, there's now a Scituate oyster, and the restaurants in Scituate are selling Scituate oyster. So I mean, it's not an express, direct
I think that's huge.
benefit, but it's huge as far as,
Yeah.
Yeah, and to your point, nobody should be giving it away or getting it for life or anything like that. So it should be controlled, but, so.
That's all, that was my only thought, was just so that
Right, you want-
some sort of controls in place.
so,
Yeah, I think that's,
I appreciate the urgency for this, but what are you gonna say to the selectmen? You don't really have a formulated idea, what would you like them to do with it? If I were receiving this, I'd be like, back to the drawing board, folks. Tell us what it is that you want us to do.
They'll ask us to do the research.
Well, I would think so. Another thing that pops into my mind, and is this something that our economic development group here in town should be looking at? What's the economic value to the town, rather than have us paying, I like the idea of a consultant, but I question, does it really need to, do we need to take the money out of the waterways fund for that? Or does economic development want to play in the game?
Right, just-
And they fund
Does it have
something.
a shellfish committee?
No. So I just, I caution you, if you're gonna make a suggestion to them, you ought to have an outcome, or they're gonna not.
yeah, you're right, Howard.
Or they could
King
outline
James,
that in
so,
a letter
yeah.
to.
Well, it ought to be communicated somehow that we're interested in this.
I mean, there's so much information out there right now. The South Coast is going crazy. Off of New Bedford, Acushnet, Dartmouth, they're going wild and propagating down there. Yeah, it's huge. So if we could capitalize on that. I'm sure they didn't pay for it. I'm sure they probably had grant money available to do it, whether the New Bedford Workforce Development did it or what, somebody did. I don't know who, I haven't tracked it. I just caution you don't want to put them in a position where they don't know what to do, and then you don't know what's going to happen.
But I don't mind, letting them know we're interested in this.
so the first step
We don't
that has
want
to
them
be
to delay
taken,
them.
according to the state,
Yeah.
the first step that has to be taken is they have to notify the selectmen if someone wants to do this, in order to get the whole thing going. The only way that someone can even get into it is by, the ball has to start with the selectmen, the board of selectmen.
Well, they would have to communicate to the state that,
The state dictates in their applications that
Okay, Mashpee was, their plan down there is, it's a very aggressive plan. I don't know, honestly, if it'll work or not, but they're trying to eliminate putting in town sewer with shellfish.
say that again?
They're trying to eliminate the need to put in town sewers
By using
by using shellfish. They're gonna grow 11 million cohogs.
Right,
Yeah.
You know how many cohogs that is?
right.
That's a lot.
And Wacoit Bay is a little bit far from,
They have them going in all the rivers.
Yeah.
I have them going, they actually, this guy, the shellfish constable down there, I mean, you can talk to him for a few minutes and then all of a sudden you're like, I don't understand a word you're saying anymore. But he's eliminated fish kill in the Mashpee River. He's eliminated algae blooms in the Mashpee River. Eliminated.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
By just town,
Just oysters.
town doing it or
Town.
farmers? So another with farming.
No, now the tribe is growing and Dick Cook has got a grant and Mark Burtis has got a grant. And the town's got several grants.
Well, we should do a little bit more research anyway. Get
That's all I'm
copies.
trying to,
Yeah.
rather than running into this,
Steve has expressed an interest, no offense to the neighboring harbor master, who is a Scituate resident, but Steve's interested in talking to the town administrator about being the shellfish warden. I think that the director should come with him when
Is that an
that
annual term?
occurs.
What is his?
I'm not sure how long it is.
I think it's just an appointment.
This is,
It just lasts.
July.
until it's-
June, July, yeah.
yeah.
But when I took the course a couple of years ago, it was a 2-week course and it was an eternity.
Yeah.
Um,
Learn more than you need to know.
Yeah. didn't shellfish for a long time.
No, but I mean, we're also a committee that might be able to do a little research. It does, I mean, a consultant's a great idea, you probably need one eventually, maybe to plot out the land.
But they,
We can do a little research at least to
yeah.
figure
And
out
that's
what needs to
kind of
get
working
done.
on. They've, I spoke to DMF when I was at the class, and they said one of the reasons that Scituate Harbor is prohibited from growing is probably because the old shellfish constable was part-time, he was a school teacher. And when you close shellfish area, you gotta go right down to close, you're gonna pound the signs in, because, you know,
The mayor's part-time also. Isn't he?
you know what I mean?
He's part-time, he's got a full-time job.
No, but I think they consider it full-time.
Right, it's, I don't know if they really do.
Strauss
or
was
not, to be honest with you.
the shellfish.
Huh?
Mr. Strauss was the.
Yeah, he was in the high school, and he did a good job, but they don't want an area, you know, open, that all of a sudden there's a spill. You gotta drop what you're doing and go, you know, pound those signs in. This is prohibited. You know, it's closed again, because you can get really sick.
The emails was pretty good too.
Huh?
The email, the emails go right away.
There's people from everywhere.
There's also people that,
Hey, a lot of the shellfish people aren't,
Aren't
they
technical.
don't walk around with their iPhone.
right. I see them every day.
So should we have a letter saying just that we're interested in this? I mean, at this point, they know nothing about it unless you communicate it to them.
I talked to him at one of the meetings that, you know.
To show our support for continuing to do the research, you know, in hopes of eventually.
Well, to Howard's point though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think,
Not asking them of anything,
I
just
think
showing them.
maybe we draft a letter that comes up with, and review it next meeting, to come up with, you know, clearly stated goals.
Right.
So instead of just saying, hey, we support it.
Hey, we like the idea, it sounds great.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the thing to do would have, to have a letter that says, we've had an application, we'd like to develop rules and regulations.
A comprehensive shellfish.
That's what you said to them.
And maybe the ask from them is maybe to help with what direction we go in for kind of.
Right.
Who can work,
For guidance.
help with guidance on, you know, the.
Yeah,
I mean, a comprehensive shellfish.
I would not just give them a purely informational.
No. It would, like Howie said, it would be absolutely waste of time to say, yeah, here's what we'd like to do, but, you know, we haven't got any idea how to do it, but, you know, we're gonna throw it at you so you can throw it back at us.
Right.
Do we have any volunteers, you know, draft whatever before the next meeting?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll help as well.
Okay.
I'll help you research it for them.
One, it's not a dissertation, it's a letter, right?
We might want to provide some sort of backup material.
The key words, comprehensive shellfish.
Yeah. Is it, and also it's to maybe have the selectman of the town administrator give a sense of urgency to the current shellfish constable.
Yeah, I think one of the things that Greg did down there, Greg Fraser, he's a harbor master, he also runs the shellfish department
In,
in Falmouth. What they did was they put minimum requirements of growth. Like you have to, you know, sell 10 bushels of, you know, this area can do
So the sun.
20.
Yeah.
You gotta do a minimum of 10. You know,
What about that grow-out period, that first 18 months or a year or so it takes to get going?
at the end of the 18 months, you're either selling them or they're not.
Well, I agree, you don't want to give it out to a whole bunch of people who can brag about it in the bottle, but they don't have anything in it out there.
And that's part of the problem. There's economic benefit to it because you do create some employment. You know, the grower would have to have some people down there tumbling oysters. And, you know, cleaning trays, working the trays. There's a fair amount, there's a lot of work to it. And, you know, unless you know what you're doing, it's a task. And you could end up with a lot of, you know, empty shells.
Do you need a motion to put all that together, or we'll just do it?
yeah, why don't we get the letter and review it next time and then.
Okay.
Is that-
But I personally think it's a great, you know, to have some, you know, commercial
I
activity.
think it's a great idea
I think it's a good idea.
with an organized thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I think we might be able to even go to, primary workshops, and they may be able to help. It's, unless they're the constable, they really, I'm the deputy constable. Mike works for me, but I work for him. Makes all the sense in the world.
Sounds like good government.
Yeah.
Any other discussion on that? Okay, for financial. The financials that I got today are everything up until today.
Revenues.
Revenues, expenses,
Revenues, no expenses, right? Locally, local expenses, right, but not a breakdown.
Oh, no, I didn't go into his, Stephen's, right, these are the big things.
Right, the big things, sure.
The debt service, the history of the debt service and the future of the debt service. You did a nice job of putting together a bunch of stuff, so I don't know if you want to get into it right now completely, or if you want to digest it a little bit.
I personally like to digest it and stuff.
I got mine.
Yeah, we just received this today, right, so.
What is this now?
It's not going.
That's a financial report that Nancy Holmes put together.
Is that?
A financial report that Nancy Holmes
Print
put
it out, so
together.
is it just this? What is it? What do we look?
What pages?
No, this.
I didn't get that.
Yes, you did.
I got it by email, but I couldn't print it
Just
out.
the 2 pages?
It's 2 pages, just the revenue.
Revenue, sure. I didn't get that page.
Did I give it away? I didn't see that.
I didn't make copies of the other ones, that's why I didn't know.
That's why you looked at it.
Huh?
Like it to a printout.
Wait, I made a copy, is there another copy? I made copies of
It's
this.
one that has a town of Scituate on the front.
Oh, you make copies of that?
Right?
Yeah, that's it, right?
These are
That's the
right
cover
here.
letter, I believe.
It's right here.
Oh, here they are.
See that right here? Yep.
Okay, so it's buried in that.
Okay.
Thankfully,
There's no new Cadillac in there.
and the stapler was working that time.
No, you didn't mean.
Then you'll be able to buy.
Thank you.
No,
I gave mine.
You guys want one that, Howard? There you go. Okay.
There's a bit of a narrative at the beginning that does explain a few things that will probably question. I know the questions we did bring up in the last couple of meetings, so they might answer some questions, but this is just, it's a real good summary of just about everything that's going on with the Waterways Enterprise Fund.
Yeah, I thought so, that was really kind of, to the point of most of the relevant
Yeah.
data that's there.
This thing gets produced like the end of December every year. I found that out because we had some previous versions of it, but literally they were within 2 or 3 days of each other that she.
Well, basically,
It gets produced in whatever.
for the budgets, you're doing the budgets, yeah. If you can do a snapshot of any time.
It's right after she gets the budget all confirmed that she.
Yeah, and then at some point she can do one, when she's, pretty far into the actuals, she can do one with actuals.
Which is hard to compare to previous years because the timing of the revenues are.
That's correct, yeah. But you can't compare it to where your budget is and where you're at X number of months into it, so you're looking at. if you're
Monthly
looking at-
budget.
Well, yeah, if you're 6 months into it, you're looking at the budget numbers, you have a pretty good idea where your budget is and what's actually been spent, right, or from an income standpoint. But, in a kind of a 10,000 foot view, revenues projected for fiscal 19 at 1,126,000, right, so it's showing a little bit of decline from 17, but up from 16, up from 15, up from 14, so on, so.
Part of the decline is, in past years, people were paying late, so they'd be paying in, if you paid after July 1st, you're paying into the next fiscal year.
Right, yeah.
So that's why we, backed it down a little bit, just so that, because this is the true year,
Yeah.
you're gonna be able to see.
So you don't have nobody paying in theory.
Nobody should be paying after, other than new moorings that we're assigning and transient slips.
Or if you assign a slip to after.
They should all be assigned.
Well, I know, but somebody drops out, and, somebody posts their boat for the year.
But they wouldn't get their deposit back, but they get a
Page three.
prorated
Revenue.
dollar figure back, so one should come down plus the other. And that's only if we are able to rent this. No, right, so that we're not getting money back.
Do we, on this form, they have the lease income as Coast Guard lease?
That's Coast Guard.
And where does the revenue, this lease income, where's that shown? I mean, 138,000 sounds like this building, unless they're combined into that one.
No, that's the building over there.
You're not paying 138,000.
Right, the Coast Guard's only like 2,500 bucks.
Right, so we should get a relabel that item, just for whoever looks at this. It says Coast Guard lease 138,000, it's gotta be this lease for the most part.
What do you say?
It's on the blue form, it's on the other form. Yeah, this just says lease income, which is legitimate, that's this and the Coast Guard.
Right.
And it totals, I don't know my glasses, but about
I have my glasses.
138,000, yeah.
Yeah, so it's showing up on the rentals?
Where is it?
Yes.
No, rentals would be
This
this
one.
one.
Yeah,
This thing.
yeah. No, but on that
It shouldn't
sheet,
be 130.
What I'm saying.
no, on that sheet, oh,
Under the coding, it's showing that we're coding for rentals.
right, well, you're renting the land, basically.
That's an interesting one, Dave, that the lease income went down from 16 to
Well,
17.
because he probably made a ton of money. I'm serious.
How could the lease income go down?
Because isn't there some percentage of his leasing that's based on his revenue?
Yes, it is.
And so I'm wondering if his revenue went down because he lost a bunch of spots this past year for him to rent.
The winter storage.
I'm just guessing, I have no idea.
Well, the high time was 143,000 days.
Which was 2016.
Then it went to 136, dropped down.
Now, I have a question, Howie. You've been doing this a while longer. Could part of it be how much, I know they only get two or $400. It's all done from town hall, for this building, for the day.
That could be part of that.
And recreation is using this building quite a bit now.
A lot of Friday nights, that's a question rented.
It's a good question.
But weekdays, and
Yeah.
the sailing program uses this quite a bit.
So you're saying that?
I don't know, I'm asking
I
Howie.
don't think you have to have revenue on Tuesday night.
Absent,
Steve, does the sales program use the shed over here?
Yes.
Right?
Sitting on-
Yeah.
Oh, they're supposed,
Both.
They use both?
they use this primarily. Yeah, this has air conditioning. It's supposed to be just on rainy days.
And then that's breaking down, that's getting the details of that from whoever eventually,
They just drove the number down.
if we could.
So back to kind of a 10,000 foot view, so revenue is kind of,
And it may not be that either.
Was that not flat?
I'm just,
Yeah.
it was a question to you, Howie, more than,
That's a good question.
Well, expensive.
I just thought, you used to rent this
kind of
space.
civic increase a little bit.
People, right?
The price of the rentals, almost, I mean, the
When we
rentals.
look at kind of after the debt service, what's
I think-
what's left?
I think it's $400 to rent this now. Is that correct?
That's what we're
Is
projecting
it
this year.
still,
What their budget, to me, isn't enough.
because when we rented it, it was.
Well, 40,000,
Right.
which is goes into retained earnings.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's
Could have been $200 or $300.
retained earnings up, which I didn't see the number,
You don't have a balance sheet, so you wouldn't see.
you don't see.
So is retained earnings, what, 478, Steve, or is it closer to 600? Do you know? Retained earnings?
It's close to 600 right now. So,
Yeah, it's on the 140 for Highlands and Caddo.
Yeah.
As of the close of last year, I thought it was $470,000.
What,
Yeah, but then we put money back in during the,
and Steve,
retained earnings.
Yeah.
if we move forward with the vote,
End of July.
that's about 50,000 a year, right? 49 and change for 15 years. Do we start paying upon delivery, or do we pay
And that's,
upfront?
that's a finance question, that's a little further up the chain of
When
command.
they take delivery.
I think delivery, right?
Yeah, I think what their plan was if.
It's a 2-year bill, right?
Well, it's 2-year wait for that particular one.
Okay.
It could be, we get a different one that's faster. It could be, we get that one. We haven't sent it out to bid yet. But I think what Nancy had suggested was, instead of, if it's 2 years, we take 2 years, $50,000 a year, put it in the bank,
Yeah.
hold on to it,
Yeah.
and then when we, instead of borrowing $430,000, we borrow, 300, or,
Check your math, man.
yeah, close. I was thinking about it.
He's always on it.
So,
I usually have Excel to my math.
so the reason I'm asking, like as you pointed out, we're spending off about 40 grand. If the boat's gonna cost 49, the debt service is flat until effectively 23.
So you found that,
Pardon?
you found out the debt, future debt.
Debt service.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it does decline a bit, but it's really flat to 21. It goes down a little bit.
Yeah, interesting on the debt service, you can see it does drop off, but if you read the notes that go with that, so there was 200,000 borrowed and authorized from the top meeting 415, and then an additional 280,000.
I think that's the richest projects
Correct, for dredging project.
that haven't taken place. This,
Right, but what I'm saying
it's
is
the
that
suburban dredge.
in this number that we have here, which is close to,
The foggy number is the one that shows the total debt service
yeah,
available, and the other one shows the actual.
Yeah, Mike, those are approved but not issued.
correct, yeah.
So you're not paying on it, just the town approved it, you haven't borrowed it.
Correct.
So if it came up, they could just pull it.
In her narrative, she says that, one is 280 and the other is a $200,000 authorization for harbor or river dredging. But it also says that there's no real plan to borrow money yet, so it's just not there.
We have it available in case.
It's
the
been
town-
approved by powers to be, but it's just
A
not.
town meeting approved it.
Right, so 2 years ago, we were running around 450,000 a year in debt service, right? So it ticks down.
And then it drops right down.
And, yeah, but it will go back up as we add some stuff.
But not till 2023.
What?
That's
No,
correct.
you said flat.
Yeah, so Franny, I don't know if we can ask Nancy to give us real numbers on these, because the difference between 300 and 350 and 400, 350 and 400 is microscopically small in this, so are we talking about 395, are we talking about 365, or whatever the case may be?
Yeah.
So what is the real debt service in 20 through like 24?
Should be reduced.
Right.
Because
There should be an actual number.
Yeah, of course there is, right, yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
There's,
It's just trying to make it all fair, you can make a $10,000 or $20,000 swing mistake, so. But the point being, we would wipe out any type of surplus,
there's,
should the boat come in sooner,
yeah,
right? Unless we make some type of planning, is what I'm trying to point out, right?
there's one item on here, it's a small item, okay? But it's a sale of ice,
Right?
and we're paying, I think, $1.83 for a bag of ice and selling it for $2. And I still have to plug the machine in,
Oh, come on.
keep it cold.
Really?
It's one of those things that, and I can't raise the price, the selectmen have to raise the price. They set the rates for everything.
Yeah, but you're providing a service of public access to cold and ice, so it's legit.
Yeah.
You're saying.
I think we should raise the price of ice.
So why don't you get an ice maker and make the ice?
Imagine
Pay somebody $20 an hour to fill it.
bagging their own ice.
Almost like the blocks.
Yeah.
Anyway, raise the price.
But the ice
This is a
itself,
good start, getting some of these financials
Yeah.
final.
cost has gone up on the ice for the cubes of blocks, but we haven't changed.
Why don't you try to raise it and then put a cost of living increase in it, and you don't have to do
Well,
it?
I think we'd have to, we should, I think the group should come together with a number, whether it's $1 over what it costs
Wholesale.
or 25% or something, so that I don't have to go back every time they raise the price. You can just, they can say, keep it a percentage over what the ice costs, or a figure over what the ice costs.
A buck a bag over the cost.
Is that a bid situation where you're buying the ice from, or can you just change tomorrow? If you found ice for $1.50, can you could just hire somebody else?
Yeah.
Okay. So we shop the ice? I'm just serious.
We can.
Eastern, I don't know who.
It's a season, we buy ice also, it's a seasonal operation, and
Yeah.
they only deliver in the summer, and that's what.
I mean, Eastern Ice has 50 trucks.
That's what we buy from.
And so they're probably pretty competitive.
Looking for a real number on that debt
Well, so let's go back to the ice.
Forget the ice, we deal with the ice. Deal with it. Deal with it. It's minor.
30% markup.
What's a bag of ice? $3 a bag?
$2, he
I
said.
know, what's real? 3?
I don't know, but.
Maybe 3.
If it's a dollar, we're losing
He's
money.
losing money, so.
$1.78 wholesale, it should be $2.50 retail.
What do you want, a motion statement?
We'll make it a dollar.
I think the clubs are spending $3 for a block.
Well, but the clubs are the clubs, you know, a club in the,
$3 a bag, you know?
Steve, that was,
what I was trying to, my point was, instead of saying $3 a bag and then they go up to $3.50 next year, and I'm back at it, say, should we keep it at a, you know,
Right.
a range of it, approximately $1 over. So if it goes to 70 cents.
Well, what do you want to make?
You guys back to-
Want to make a buck back?
Fuck a bag.
Yeah, but I don't want to be at $1.93 for, you know. like
No, no,
Around
$2.95.
there, yeah.
guys, back to the Mile High
Round
View.
it, round it out. At $1 a bag. You know, either
Fran,
the number or the.
Back to the Mile High View here, looking at these financials for the first time. We just need to look at that bottom line, total surplus, that actual and budgeted,
Handling.
and we have to design a budget
There's
that,
gotta be a reason for us to be handling cash.
So, just to close out your ice thing, there's a guy down the drift who's got an automatic dispensing machine, can, you know,
He runs out on holiday weekends.
he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something that you can look into as the self-dispensing?
Guys,
Go
ice-
ahead and have the ice company
Is there a-
supply it, all you need to do is provide power.
I want to say, get that in a minute.
I don't-
Yeah, I mean, there's some companies that do it and then they do the profit sharing and there's all.
I brought it to your attention. When we're losing money.
So, do you write a letter to the town administrator asking for a fee?
I think you guys have to, you know,
That's what it's like.
Do you have to sell ice?
For ice.
we're selecting a hazard.
You don't have that luxury.
Do we need to talk about
It's insane.
Do you have to sell ice? Is ice worthwhile at all?
Well, how much does the bag of ice need?
It's a
I think it's like $1.83.
So you sell 5,000 bags, right? It's $5,000 in ice cents. $1.83, so you sell 2,000 bags approximately.
And I don't know if it's showing what the ice costs us, right? It may just show.
No, your ice cost is buried somewhere else.
Yes.
Right.
Hey, they still don't take cash where
You
it
see what I mean? You know,
So my point is, are those 2,000 approximately bags valuable to?
Yes.
like,
The answer is yes, right?
I think, like you said, we're making about 23 cents.
Seems like to sell ice, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If we didn't pay the
You're grossing, you're grossing 23 cents a day.
I used to sell ice, we stopped selling ice because of the automated machine on the.
Around the corner.
Around the corner, and
But
Pete Bell's my cat, he sells the ice for me.
Yeah.
But as long as people get ice, that's all I
I eat a lot.
But in the harbor, it's a necessity,
We have a machine,
there's a necessity for people to come to a public landing and.
Oh, yeah, no, it's cheap ice for the people. Okay, so I have a question. So we're looking at all these facts and figures. What's our goal here? What are we, it's great, good information. What's our goal?
I was gonna make a recommendation that everyone goes, reviews this stuff,
Yeah.
and gets questions back to Fran,
Yep.
so that he can try to get answers before the next meeting. And then, as we look through the things, we can try to put a little bit of consensus to where we're going and maybe what we need to look at from an increase
So
standpoint.
my goal, Brian, would be that we've got a number of capital plans that's in the package as well. It's on Steve's docket. Some of them are small, some could be bigger. If we have to make his building ADA compliant, obviously that's a big expense. Our expenses are rising, our revenues are flat. We have a $50,000 debt service addition to our expenses coming in within 2 years. So therefore, are we going to run out of cash?
Right.
Right? That's what my exercise is. And what do we have to do?
And the cost of ice.
And we gotta raise the cost.
We also paid for a consultant that gave us ideas on what to do.
Right.
My point is just, it was a very open discussion. Let's close it in, come up with a plan, look at it, and come back with some.
And do me a favor, come back before the next meeting, which is May 2nd, okay, I mean by a week.
So that
Because-
So Stephen can do his homework.
and
And now,
He can go drill it down with Nancy.
I'll go to Nancy, but I don't want to go to Nancy the day before we need.
Right, no, you can't do that to her, that's not, you know.
She's nice, she'll do it, but we don't want to have her do that. And
That's right.
Okay.
Maybe you can get in constant contact and remind us. 10 days.
But for next meeting, get any questions you have, get them to Fran, and then try to come back with.
Well, we could get answers by next meeting.
Brian, did you get your reminders?
You can get the answers, right?
If we email him in 2 weeks.
We can discuss it, then talk about where we need to go.
Yeah, for
I mean, what I was gonna say is that top-down view, the revenue that we're gonna shoot for has to
Make
generate,
sure you guys
I would say $75,000 of retained
Yeah,
earnings.
make sure you bring it on the
It's not high enough. I mean, look back in 2013, 14,
That's
15, we were putting
I'll make it all mine up.
150 back in.
I'm making all mine up.
So,
It is though, because if you continue to put 75,000 a year in,
Yeah.
right, and you're not taking out of retained earnings,
we are, we have capital plans for that.
well, remember, you're only taking out of retained earnings if you're spending more than you're taking in, right? If you're spending more than your operating budget a year, and it's in there, then you're taking out of retained earnings, right?
No, I'm talking about capital expenses
Right.
using retained earnings.
Well, let's
all review it and we'll-
Use of retained earnings is an exception, it's not supposed to be automatically included in part of our spending. Stephen has a budget, all the budget items come in, and
I stay within my budget.
Right, and that's where it is. If we have to put in the retained earnings, then it's.
It's only for capital expenses.
Yeah.
It's only for capital expenses. This has
Okay.
nothing to do with operating expenses. We're talking about a budget, like,
Sure.
put 10% of your income into retirement, right?
Yeah.
You know, this is the financial budget for the next 5 years, is we have to determine what the fees and revenue should be,
Right.
so that we generate significant retained earnings.
Correct, so if you look on the expenses side, there's capital outlay and capital articles, so they fall under that. So the more you do capital projects, right, that you're.
None of these are showing up. None of the capital expenses show on this form.
They won't.
They don't.
It's capital budget.
Capital. His capital is like 5,000, 3,000, 6,000. That's what he calls capital.
Correct.
It's not the $50,000 that's debt service. That's what I'm talking about. That shows up on this one.
Debt service does show up on it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
It rolls up to debt service.
It rolls up to debt service.
You know, my truck is $40,000.
One you're not gonna get?
That would be half a.
You mean the $12,000 truck you got there?
That would
save capital.
So
I would like to.
capital outlay, you know, right?
Like last year,
Or 2 years ago, the
Capital outlay is on this spending each
that
year.
was there.
Out of
It's
this
now
operational
because,
budget for capital items.
it's,
So,
you know, it's
except
not a
for-
problem.
So it's capital.
$500,000 borrow that it's,
That's
you
correct.
know, that, I understand that.
Yeah, so debt service is anything you borrow for, capital outlay is anything that's coming out of the current.
Operating budget, I understand.
And only taken from retained earnings if there's an extraordinary circumstance, what we need to take from retained earnings.
Right.
If
Like
we had-
if all the half the dogs floated away.
Correct. Or we decide to take $140,000 that we're not borrowing for and take that out.
Absolutely.
Right.
And you can't have $200,000 or $300,000 a year retained earnings, because that would be considered taxing these people. You know, this should be a zero-sum game, this enterprise.
Zero sum game.
Well, it pretty much is. It's $1 million in and $1 million out.
Right, yeah.
And traditionally, the retained earnings has been 500,000.
Yeah.
Just with your.
That's the figure that you guys came up with.
Yeah, and that's what you're at. And if you look at this revenue year over year, it's gone up. So that doesn't look like. to me,
Right,
there's a problem.
expenses gone up, the revenue's gone up.
I don't know why the revenue's gone up. Yeah, I don't understand why.
Well,
the-
75,000 of new user fees 2 years ago.
Right, so that's carried through.
That's continuing, right.
See, I mean, this is the healthiest enterprise fund that this town has.
By far.
So-
That's what everybody wants to get their hands on.
Yeah, something's going right, we're still expanding, so we're still improving.
And the key is
We're
not
still
to make,
fixing things.
Yeah,
not to make it balloon out of control, but to keep it where the retained earnings is fairly reasonable.
They make improvements along the way, so
Right.
it betters the facilities for the boats.
Right.
With more ice.
Cheap ice.
Cheap ice.
Different giveaway. You got
Cheap ice for the people.
No, different. I got 3 different kinds of ice. Flavored ice.
Okay, so
Big ice for
we're gonna do is we're gonna go home and put the numbers on our own and come back and we'll do this.
So 2 weeks, people should get information to you.
I'll let you get it to me by the last week in April.
Last week, April, said if you did
Any
question the answer.
questions they might need to drill down on.
Yeah, what time do you
Why don't you give us a date, Fran?
No, we got a month for the next meeting, so
No, can we question our meetings?
The meeting is May 2nd.
May 7th, right?
You got 15 days,
Right.
or 20
You
days.
don't have more questions.
Three.
How about-
Yeah, 3 weeks, right? Technically 3 weeks.
Approximately.
How about April 25th, Wednesday, the 25th?
Sure. That gives you a week
That gives me
to
a
circle with Dan.
Anybody comes in on the 26th, they don't get.
$100.
That's important. Yeah.
No ways for that. No ways for
You
that.
got it going on, right?
What's going on with
Get
the
the cover
project?
off that launch.
I'll be looking for things to do. Okay, anything else on financial?
How much is this?
Freddie, you're jammed up.
Cold Parkwood Marina rehab.
Okay, so the Park Marina project is going along very well. We are still waiting for the DEP permit. All the other permits are in place. We did, however, find some unexpected issues over at Cole Parkway Marina. They weren't, we didn't anticipate some of the issues. And part of it is the ADA, and the other part is the condition of the electrical system.
So Steve, you said 88?
ADA,
So the ramp?
the ramp.
That resolved.
Was that the design?
It is, but it costs money. It wasn't, we were planning on, the old ramp.
Reusing the ramp.
So we didn't anticipate, some of the, the changes. And part of it's the electrical system that's over there, and part of it's the ADA. So we are in the midst of drafting a letter, and part of it, I think, was the size of, the length of the piles and costs. And so we're in the midst of drafting a letter, we're going to submit it. If everything goes well, hopefully tomorrow, if I get all my, if everybody approves, town administrator says it's okay to send it. The original project was for $700,700. Project is now at about $972 with the electrical system upgrades.
Another 200,000?
It's another
Is we, us, the harbor master, town, or is it the consultant?
Who's the letter going to?
Wait, I mean, the person who's misjudged the ADA or whatever, was it the town or was it the consultant?
We went in and we were like, okay, it should cost, we got original cost estimates, how much it is to put piles in. Okay, it's gonna be about $100,000 for permits, and it's gonna be about $50,000 for this, and about $70,000 for that, and we compiled it and we submitted it to Seaport. So we are going back to Seaport with an amendment. The part of the amendment, which I was talking about before, is timing. We have to ask that they extend our contract out until next year.
Right.
And this is why I didn't want to go back in October and ask them to extend our contract, because you can only go to them so many times before they say, we're tired of hearing from you.
Right, and you really have no choice but to fix the electrical over there.
So we're going back to Seaport and asking for 80% of the additional fees. And we're trying to get it so that we're in a place where the project can be completed and closed out.
Right.
So this amendment is going to Seaport hopefully tomorrow. I'll send it in, and we hope for them to review it and get on their agenda for their August meeting. That's what I'm hoping.
And that's 300 or 200,000 more, Steve?
It's about $300,000 more.
So just so we're clear, so the biggest thing was changes.
The electrical, and it's also the cost of removing the stones, and we got to get them ready to be
we're gonna pull the stones up, they're gonna go into the parking lot, they're gonna be cleaned up, and then we're gonna reuse them for shore protection. And by doing that, it does have an additional cost, but we're hoping, because we're using foreshore protection, they look at it more kindly, that we're trying to use, or rather than just throwing them in the dump, we're doing something
Like
in
the
the ocean.
ocean warnings.
The stones themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, more stones.
Yeah.
So we're trying to, put this project together in such a way where they're very, that, oh yeah, that's foreshore protection, great. Fix the electrical system,
Yeah.
great. ADA, great. Yes, we'll go forward and,
But that wasn't that part of the original request or original consultant or original?
it was, but the costs were, we weren't,
It was part of it, it cost.
it was just costs, what stuff costs.
30%.
Yeah, 50%, 50, 600 to 900.
Right, they thought they were gonna use a lot of the original wiring, they can't. They thought they could keep the original ramp, they can't. You know, it doesn't-
I remember his presentation, he was talking about a different ramp, so I don't know where.
No,
it's-
the original
Yeah,
Seaport Economic Grant, we went in, had nothing to do
our consultant,
with that consultant's report.
yeah. They
All right.
just,
We have budgetary figures prior to hiring the consultant. We paid the consultant, we hired the consultant after we got the original money through Seaport. That's how it
so
was,
our original estimates were just that.
Got it.
okay?
So,
But we have money, and I've somewhat planned for this as well, just in case.
did you plan for the 20% or,
Yes.
so what happens if we don't get the grant? Then we have to come up with the 300?
No, then we just do what we can do.
What's that mean? We have to do the ADA no matter what, don't we?
We do whatever we can do and get the pilings in, but, something's gonna have to give at some point. The pilings are the main focus of this project. So you can't make an ADA without putting the pilings in because the marine's not gonna stay in place.
Right, essentially you're gonna phase it, phase the
Right. So what we plan on doing.
requested
which is-
required portions later.
You guys had this issue over at the town pier. Were you part of that?
We had it here, we had that 85-foot ramp.
No, I mean, when you went back to Seaport for additional funding.
Yeah.
I remember the mythical ramp power.
So
Yeah.
they have,
Yeah.
the amendments are in part of their contract documents, so they realize things,
Does DCR still come down and overview the project? Do they approve?
No, DCR has nothing to do with this.
Who approves the money for the state? They come down periodically.
I think we make the presentation, and they haven't asked, nobody from the state has shown up to review it. We send out quarterly reports of what we've completed and what we have done,
And they send you money?
and they send us money.
Wow,
So that's where we're at with that.
got it.
So part of the funds will come from that $70,000 of the electrical, and part of the funds will come from the $140,000 for the additional highlights.
That's the 20%.
That will be 20%. It's just a portion of the 70, it's just a portion of the 140. It's not the whole 140, the whole 70. So we're hoping that we'll have that project done, and then I plan on going back to Seaport and asking them
For piling money here?
for pilot money here and electrical money here to do the appraisal. And then I plan on putting the rest of the funds back in the waterways at price.
Yeah.
We don't have any guarantee that we're gonna get everything, like 91 is the last thing we're waiting for them, or DP.
Chapter 91, we will have plans.
We will guarantee, I mean, we're pretty sure, are they guarantees?
They want the chain and stone out of the water.
Yeah,
Okay?
conservation ones.
They want it out of the water.
But, do we have a contingency plan, like if it doesn't get approved, or if they don't?
Doesn't get approved, we
Town insurance,
Hey,
I'm doing
hand back all the money and, if it doesn't get approved, Ray, it doesn't get approved. I can't put pilings in without a permit.
No, I'm just concerned that we haven't got the 91 yet, and we're getting closer and closer to that October date.
Well, he's talking about the August meeting. If they approve it in August, then maybe.
No.
Two different things. Two different things.
You,
Yeah,
DEP and Seaport are,
Different people.
Seaport has the money,
Completely different.
P has the permission.
Right.
right?
And we're down now to just the
We're
91.
waiting for the Chapter 91, Mass DEP, Chapter 91 license
For, and when would that?
for the pilings. We are waiting for that. It's all been sent in. We're working things out with DEP.
So what was the
All I can
August
talk,
meeting?
I can't go any deeper into it.
What was the August meeting? Whose August meeting were you talking about?
Seaport Economic.
That's the extra money.
where we get the money.
Right, so we can't go out to bid until they vote. Right. Yeah,
And we
can have the money.
we can't really do anything until we get the DEP license. We can't go any further until we have a license in
Right.
hand.
So let's say earliest, at best, for the,
I'm not, we're not gonna go down that road again. The earliest, the latest, you know,
I mean,
it is gonna happen.
yeah,
The pilings will go in.
See, as a marine owner,
yeah.
you deal with the DEP, and they control the timeline, and that's just the way it is. You don't go in there and say, it'd be really nice if you could do it in 2 weeks.
Right.
They're substantiating their state jobs. Period. End of story. They're not,
You went through it here.
they're not bad people, they're just,
They're very good at what they do, but
if
they're,
you go there and complain, it goes slower.
Right. And we can't deal in hypothetical situations.
Would you agree, Howard?
I've been down this road. Yeah, but you say everything's been submitted, so they,
Army Corps of Engineers signed off in record time.
yeah.
Department of Marine Fisheries signed off with no time use restriction. Conservation signed off. Everybody signed up. That's DEP.
And the no time of use restriction is significant. You know, that allows you to do it.
So you're, ideally, you would start this project.
October 16th.
No votes.
I mean, they could potentially come in during the summer. If, let's say everything went through and everything was moving along swimmingly, do you want to put it that way? They could start putting hoops in, you know, to get prepared for the,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Retrofit.
they could,
You mean retrofit the docks?
I think you could do hoops into the pilings for,
I'm just saying, they could, they may be able to do some things.
You could have a bid out, award the contract.
Correct. They're gonna have to hire, they're gonna, you know, they bid it out, they award the contract, the contractor hires, you know, gets, you know, orders the steel or, you know, the product, whatever, you know. You know, we have a contingency of where to put the stuff on the waiting and,
yeah.
Thanks.
great. But it's moving along very well. You know, I'm very, you know, I see it happening.
Okay.
Thanks, great. To ask this question, do you anticipate moving the ice machines down onto the dock?
That would never be here.
I was actually gonna put them on the Cedar Point launch and run a course.
If you purchased 2 ice machines, would you double your revenue?
Well, we had to, but they both put it across the parking lot last year.
Okay. South River Dredging.
So, no, is everybody satisfied with, you know?
Yep.
I'll,
You good?
well, no, I have the notes on the capital plan, you don't have to go to it, but I noticed that you do have in the budget, the capital plan for replacement of the marina, section, a section per year, so.
Yeah, that's further, that's further down, and that's another Scituate grant.
Yeah, oh, so that's.
Well, no, it wouldn't be, it's not part of this one,
Yeah,
but it would be something I go back to Seaport and ask them. I still haven't quoted, like, I have a pump out quote for $100,000.
yeah.
The pump out quotes cost about 70, and the state gives you about 56,000.
Right.
You gotta pay about 20%. We talked about this the other day, but I gotta put it in at the full.
Right.
I get that. So it's a placeholder. What I was gonna say is regarding the electrical stuff, right? I mean, can you do that as a phased approach to this too, or?
We may end up having to do something like that. We may have to go, you know, to the electrical inspector and see what we can
section
do.
of the dock would be nice to,
You know what I mean? We're trying to get it done and trying to satisfy everyone,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
you know, I applied for a ADA grant for the ramp. I was notified that we did not receive the grant, the dog park. I asked if it was something to do with the grant itself, and they said, no, the grant was great. It was just, they only have so much money, and they said if somebody in the state doesn't take, their grant money, we may end up calling you, that we can resubmit in the fall again.
Yeah,
Which again, pays for the grant.
yeah. So that other stuff you was in, so you could possibly get money from CPC for Seaport rather for dock?
That's,
Potentially?
like, we're gonna apply for grants for the boat.
Yeah.
I don't,
Yeah.
have a,
I
don't really believe we're gonna get a grant for the boat,
Yeah,
but I do feel pretty confident that we can continue to get grant money for hard projects.
Right.
yeah, okay.
Fixed shoreside facilities get
There's
grant.
economic benefits to,
Yeah.
fixing our docks. There's economic benefits to,
Yeah,
they paid for part of this project, correct? And one of the questions they had was, any of the seaport projects, do they need funding for storm resilience?
Right.
This place does, because the islands are too short.
yeah,
Things like that. So they're trying, they don't want to spend the money and then find out that it floated away. Or it all caved in because you didn't ask them for a little bit more.
yeah.
There's no guarantees on it,
Yeah.
but that's, what we're trying to do.
Anyone else?
But I was pleasantly surprised at how fast they were falling back.
Good. South River.
South River. We had, South River, finally, we have submitted all the permits to all the agencies. And we've been getting back positive, I got a letter that we've been getting positive feedback from the agent, from the license or the permitting agencies. So hopefully we'll be able to do area A
Yeah.
in the fall. That's what we're hoping for.
Finally.
But that's with offshore disposal.
How is that funded?
That's gonna, through some of that money that's
Yeah.
in that gray area.
More debt.
Well, it's already debt that's accounted for.
It's not accounted for, it's approved, not accounted for.
And is there,
Approved, not issued.
It's on the sheet.
I know, but it's debt.
It has not been
It's like a
spent.
pre-approved mortgage.
and that is,
You can do it, they're not paying for it yet.
that is, we haven't watched, they'll pay for half of it.
Proposed.
Yeah.
As they said.
No, it's approved.
It's approved.
It's
Town
approved
meeting-
and proposed, but it has not been,
They haven't given
It just
us.
hasn't been issued, that's all. It's been approved, town meeting approved it.
Yeah.
It hasn't been issued.
So, positive.
All right.
All right.
Thanks.
We had a meeting with, yesterday with the Army Corps of Engineers, no, with the Air Force, I'm sorry, with the Air Force. There was a lot of brass in here yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, the colonels, we had everything.
Why don't they do something about that?
They're,
Give it to
they're trying
Because
to,
it's a tough shape.
they're working.
It really is.
And they're working, they're looking to work on stuff less as well, so. I really think we're gonna do a whole lot of.
Well, that's fair.
It's got to be the point where they're taking notice of it now.
Yes, they definitely take.
Before they sort of ignored it.
Yeah, it's
And
really,
the roads falling into it.
yeah, I mean, it's tough. Have you been down there yet, to the South River, by boat yet?
No.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
I just got one boat in the other day, and I've been kind of running around between town meetings and.
There's plenty of time to dig it from.
I walked out on the spit, and
Could you walk
the
across?
landscaping has changed.
Hey, it's sand now, right?
It's all sand.
That's the beauty of the spin is it changes.
Well,
I was curious.
I don't know, I haven't been down there.
Deep at high tide.
I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of bigger commercial boats are in, so they're getting high tide.
I'm gonna let you go first.
Steve, just back to that South River thing, so once we get all the permits there, That has to go out to bid too, I would think, to dredge it, right? So.
And targeting October?
The
When is-
fall,
when is
the fall under,
Yeah.
we're targeting the fall dredge season.
Season, right.
Right.
Has to go at a
It's a
certain
time of
time.
year restriction, so they tell us when you can, when you can't.
Okay.
It's a time of year restriction.
Marshfield's all on board.
So that's very good, right?
That's very good, actually. I'm trying to go back and think about what year we started talking about that bridge down there. It was probably 2012.
Yeah.
Not sure if I told Howie this or not, I think I may have. I have on my desk the permits for here, or any open permits, and there was one about it was gonna expire probably next year. It was a order of conditions. I extended that out another 5 years, and
For this whole marina?
it cost us $73.
So that's the dredging and all that stuff that might have to
Is
go.
that okay? Expensive.
Yeah, you're lucky enough to do the dredging of the South River, and then mobilize, maybe we can get the north side of this place and plan on dredge it out.
Absolutely, yeah.
The Army Corps of Engineers was in the harbor this winter, and they did surveys for me, and they sent them over to me, so.
Oh, they did?
Great.
It was, this was more of a Marshfield thing, but we did the C Street South, that project, 2 inches, not this one, the one before, and they did it with hydraulic. Did they ever come back and finish that up with the
No.
school? No? Is that gone now, we're not doing that?
That is low on my priority list.
Well,
If you can't get there, if you can't get past area A, B, and C, why do D?
no, I understand that, but I thought that, that was a project, they did some of it, but
They did, I don't know, honestly, personally, I have no idea why we did on the outside of a bridge we can't get to.
we get there at low tide,
But
High
low tide.
Keep it on the line. High tide's one,
me, I would have started at area A, B, got to C, and then gone to the other side.
And then start all over.
Well, the Marshall yacht club boats need to get down the bridgeway.
Drafts. Are you in the outlook?
No, it's fine, an organization, but I'm not in it.
Yes.
How much is the rice? How much is the rice?
Right, would you like to start a committee to decide what the selling price is?
No.
Okay.
I think we agreed $3 a bag was a reasonable price. But
So,
$1 more than what you paid for it.
you know, that other side, I mean, we have to fix everything getting down to there before we go back there.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Does that make sense to
But
everybody
it was,
here?
that was more of a Marshall project, I didn't know if anything.
We paid for that.
Yeah, I know, but if we were gonna go back and finish it, because it was sort of, we weren't happy with the
It was
amount
not
of
much time, they really didn't do anything on that.
Yeah.
They got about a pickup truck load according to the actual guys. That was it.
Seriously?
That was it.
Yeah.
They brought the wrong equipment for the wrong kind of bottom. It's all cobbled there, and they brought a hydraulic, Barnstable County had to dredge.
Yeah.
And Wayne Duquette said, "We'll never go back to Scituate." He said, "You broke my dredge."
And they got a shiny new one, so found.
They got two.
I know.
Barnstable County has two dredges.
Right, they're doing Eel River right now.
And they have full-time dredge crew.
Yeah.
Do I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
Sure.
Actually,
Does anybody have any questions or anything? No.
Get to it.
Right. Go.
okay.
Any
So no business, I'd like to put it on to the next one because I can tell that this meeting has gone long. But, so for the slips, there's a current contract that all the slip holders adhere to. When I compared it to the rules and regulations, as I indicated in the March meeting that I would, there's a couple of areas that I'd like us to discuss at the next meeting. Specifically, one is there's a difference between what is called out for ownership in the contract and the ownership requirements in the rules and regulations, more rules and regulations. So I only made, I apologize, not a ton, if you guys want to look at it all.
I just have a question on, if a slip The mooring, the reason why there's such a tight control over a mooring owner is,
Perpetuity.
yeah, because the mooring person, it's more state regulated. I think, I don't see the reason why you couldn't have a joint partnership in a slip, but correct me if I'm wrong. It seems to me that we're bound by state regulations on mooring and how moorings need to be passed on. And slips, it seems less.
No, it's still a demand issue though, Brian. I mean, it's.
What happens,
But not legal issue.
yeah, but what happens if, let's say, he lives in Scituate, I live in Hingham.
Well, okay, yeah, I get you, okay.
Hey, you
That's
guys.
fine. If you have
I use your slip.
you guys have a.
Or just a dollar figure, it's a dollar difference.
Yeah, it's a dollar figure, but, and also I guess if there's a waiting list and you're trying to, you sell your boat and,
Yep,
yeah, okay.
that's what we're trying to avoid, right?
Okay.
And also, when Ellen is collecting documents, it's similar just to collect the
Same
document, the same
Should be
package.
consistent.
Right.
In previous years,
I mean, I think Brian's got a good idea, so.
in previous years before this harbor master, somebody who lives in Scituate would sell a
You
boat.
got a good
The
idea.
person that outside of Scituate would buy the boat, and then
Carry on.
they continue to pretend like they,
Be convinced.
so this, yeah.
There's only two other items. One was late payment. There is no late payment fees called out for it in this. I'm sorry, in the contract, in the mooring regulations, there is.
Yeah.
When I talked with Ellen, she said the majority of people are fine, but she does end up chasing a lot of people that fall outside the window of us collecting our revenue. And since, when do you mail invoices, Steve?
All the invoices go out at the same time.
So March 1st
March 1st.
and due April 15th. Right.
We had more, in years past, we had a lot of mooring customers that were just like, "Hey, I'm gonna pay it. I'm gonna see what I see." Last year, the mooring people actually were paying, and we had a big number of slip people that weren't. In a couple of weeks, you know.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
It's sitting on our desk and
Yeah.
we can't close it out. And it's not that we wanna, you know, I'm hoping that I don't have to, you know, collect $100 fee from somebody.
No,
You hoping they just,
right, because the bylaws, Steve, you have the right to, it's in the 3100 bylaws, right? It doesn't say that you automatically get hit
oh,
for
they're
it.
done.
You have the
Not on the
option,
contract.
right? You have the so if somebody, if there's a medical issue, or obviously, right?
I have,
I'm just trying to marry the two.
I have discretion,
Right.
you know, but it's just, I didn't feel like paying.
And the last thing is on, and this one's probably a bigger revenue source, is on slip vacancy. There's nothing in the contract about notification to Steve, the Harbor's Master's office, about them leaving.
Well, they have to notify me, but what happens is a lot of people don't. And then what has happened is, I think before I got here, there was some found dinghies assigned, and people would leave their dinghies in their slip. I said, my son, you're not using it. And
Do you allow these?
there are a few that are there. I wouldn't have done it, but, you know, they're there and, you know.
Remember, it technically grows the length of the vessel.
You know,
So unless you're charging for it, you're giving it away.
but if they take it, you know, the few that have it, they take it with them, I'm fine with it. But there's people that, you know, have them for their sailboats or have them somewhere else, or their power boats on a mooring, they just put it in their slip and, you know, they go away for a week. And then I can't rent anymore. Oh, rent the slip, and it costs money. You know, it's easy. Howie does it all the time. He calls, he sends me a text message. He calls the office. I'm leaving for the summer.
Head to Portland.
I'm like, beautiful, because I already rented your slip, so you gotta go by 10.
Right.
So, but it works out great. He's coming home early, and you've done it. You said,
I'd like to send it to
we're
you.
cutting our trip short.
About it.
Coming home, we'll take care of it. We're extending it out. It's like, great, it's easy.
Thank you, Brian.
Last issue, if I could, one more, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, just on this one, if somebody doesn't pay their slip fee, it should be in the contract, they can't use the slip until they pay.
I couldn't find
You
it.
can't change.
No, what happened, this is another problem with we get people that come in and they say, hey, you have a slip for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks in the spring and the fall. And people don't tell me when they're coming. They're not here till July 4th.
Right.
And they haven't even moved in yet.
Oh, something was.
But it would be great if they have to, if they're gonna show up on May 15th, I don't really care, I don't have to tell them. But if they're not showing up until May 18th or July 1st or August 7th, whatever it is, you need to tell me so we can rent that stuff out.
That could be a constant contact flash just for the slip owners as a reminder, because it's a benefit to the town, it may reduce their slip fees eventually.
Yeah, there needs to be something in place where if they don't tell us,
They get hit.
they get hit, pay $50.
Yeah,
Something,
so, but my point is.
whatever it is,
You have to track that, it's, you know.
My point is that if you haven't paid your slip fee, you can't use your slip.
Yeah, he's talking about something else, he's talking
but
about.
your slip fees due April 15th.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
We're not open until May 15th.
All right, so it makes it, he still hasn't paid,
15.
and he puts his boat in.
They're not coming in, but we're chasing money is my thing.
What happens if you're not paid by Monday, right, that, you lose your slip spot.
Right, they're gonna reassign you.
Goes on to the next one.
Because
We do, but, you know, then, you know, they come in a week and a half and say, oh,
Yeah.
what do you mean you get it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the rules are rules.
But isn't that what it says in the documents though? That if you're not inside that day, then
I think,
I'm
sorry.
we put a lot of charges out in town here. So if you do this, you know, if I do this, I do this.
Yeah.
I don't have the issues anymore.
Yeah.
Because nobody looks, you know, everybody realizes, hey, this area's, they're not around anymore.
Yeah. So it's the same.
So it's the same thing. If you're late,
Yeah.
and you want the set, fine, time's all late. We don't hear from you at the end of the month. You're not getting $400 back. We got the problem we had last year where people weren't paying, and then they said, oh, we don't want, you know, we're not coming.
Yeah.
And they're like, can I have my deposit?
No.
It's like, no, you can't. And then we're running around trying to fill a spot, and we're
And you turn
5-foot boat with a 15-foot wheel.
Right, and you turn 30 people away that keep calling you every day.
Right, but I've lost 10 feet, which is $1,000. And it happened a lot last year for whatever reason.
That was very strange, last year's.
Last year was really strange.
Not this year, but
But
it's
you
big.
Yeah, I understand.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Unanimous.
Vote, all in favor, say aye.